Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of This Just In Radio. I'm your host, Justin Barnes. Today, we're broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. Very excited to be here. It's already been an action-packed 48 hours since I landed. The prominence of this specific show grows every year, and I'm fortunate to be able to host and broadcast annually from here. Rich Scarfo and the entire health team are extremely supportive, and I'm tremendously grateful. Also, make a special note of thanks to Dan Kendall for his support in managing all these health broadcasts and recording. He's been terrific. This is actually my 11th year broadcasting from a healthcare industry conference, and certainly people like Dan and my full-time producer, Roberta Mullen, has helped us just create a top-notch show, but also win 2024 Podcast of the Year. Very grateful for that. And all of my guests for sure there too. For today, though, I have a fantastic lineup of CEOs, CIOs, care providers, policy leaders, and visionaries. If you miss any of this broadcast or want to hear more of This Just In Radio shows, they're all posted at Amazon Music, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and the TuneIn platforms. As many of you know, my goal for broadcasting live each year from these key conferences is to create an information medium that shares best practices, strategies, and actionable intelligence from the industry's leading sources and experts. My goal, along with all my guests here, will be to offer tactics and strategies to not only survive, but thrive as you navigate your hospital, your physician practice, your company, your community, or even your family through all these changes occurring across healthcare. There's nothing more important, and there's more opportunity than ever before for all of us to thrive. But we must understand how healthcare is evolving, how policy and reimbursement is shifting, and where best practices and innovation can support our efforts. I hope you glean all of that over the next few days. That's at least my goal. Now, on to my guests. Welcome back to This Just In Radio show, broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest and new friend of the show, Dr. Nainesh Parikh, Vice President, Chief Clinical Expansion and Partnerships Officer at Moffitt Cancer Center. Welcome to the show, my good friend.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
First of all, we were connected by our good friend, Vincent Frakes. Yesterday, he proactively connected us via text after you had a great talk at Decimal Health's
Innovation
Forum.
Summit.
Summit yesterday morning. First of all, great job there. Before we dive in, tell us a bit about your background. You're new to the show, so you're a new voice to the show.
Sure.
Tell us about your background a little bit.
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me. Really an honor to be here. Thanks for the feedback yesterday.
You got it.
So I'm an interventional radiologist. I focus on prostate cancer, and I focus on something called prostatic artery embolization for men with enlarged prostates, and specifically prior to definitive therapy. Obviously, I'm deep into the prostate cancer landscape. I spend half my time doing that. And then I spend the other half of my time as the Vice President, Chief Clinical Expansion and Partnership Officer. Doing that, I focus on Moffitt's growth outside of our main area, so around Florida, around the region, internationally.
Yep.
And then I think about ways that we can bring our care closer to patients and ways that patients can access our care when they need us. And even when they don't, how can we make sure that we're taking care of our patients? That's kind of the general overview. And then before that, I used to be the Assistant Chief Medical Officer with a focus in finance strategy and digital innovation. So that's kind of how it all...
At Moffitt?
Yep.
Okay. How long have you been at Moffitt?
10 years. Coming up this summer, it'll be 10 years.
Very cool. No, that's awesome. So, Jess Frakes also, Fralick initially, but Frakes now.
Jess is really close. Jess and Vince are both really close friends of mine. I love them both. Shout out to both of them.
Yes, big time. So diving into some of the questions, then we're going to talk about curing cancer. So we're going to absolutely debate that.
All right, let's go.
But before we get there, what progress are you most excited about seeing in the industry today?
Let me ask you, clarify a little bit. Do you mean in terms of digitally enabled technology and tools, or do you mean just generally speaking?
What excites you? Like, so when you think about, for me, I've worked on interoperability for now 20 plus years, and so it's really cool to see we have a long way to go. We've also made tangible strides in interoperability. So that's one of the biggest ones for me personally to see. So what do you get you excited about?
What given that we're here at HLTH, what excites me is the opportunity, and everybody talks about AI, but I actually think what excites me is the opportunity for physicians to be supercharged by language models, not just AI, not just agentic AI, but how do we allow ourselves to be more creative in delivering care and kind of don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
And to me, everybody's trying to search for this. Someone that I was talking to yesterday told me, if you thought about EHRs like 25 years ago, there was like 1,500. and now there's 3, right? Or maybe 5. Maybe there's only 2, depending on who you ask. But
I helped start one of them, so
exactly. So I think that it's exciting times because maybe some companies will lose, but a lot will win, and the ones that do, I think, are really going to supercharge how we practice medicine, and that's really what excites me. Yeah,
and I think one thing I heard yesterday, actually, it might have been on. It was actually on the Decimal Health at the summit. How someone today, this is a little bit off topic, but something to keep an eye on, certainly if you run a health system, they might have 15 different AI models, or they might have 5 today, they might have 7 next year, then maybe 15 a couple years after that. All different governance models possibly, and there's a lot there. That's something people need to keep an eye on. I actually had one of our really good friends that from last night on the show earlier today, and I asked him, and obviously everybody needs an individual strategy based on their health system, but you want to think about this at a global scale or a holistic scale for your organization, because there's a lot to manage there.
Well, what's hard about it though is that so much is changing so quickly, and there's so much unknown. How do you put governance structure around something you just don't know?
Right.
It's like trying to drive a car without ever having driven a car. Right. You just don't know what you don't know. So I totally agree with you, and I actually think what's less important, and I think we're finding this at Moffitt, what's less important is the structure of the governance, and what's more important is that we're all on the same page and we're all talking about it.
Right.
Because I think that understanding how AI is going to come, and just being open-minded to the fact that it's really rapidly changing what's normally a slow-moving beast like a healthcare system is helpful for everybody to say, nope, let's continue to think creatively about how we deploy AI and really how it marries all the other technological applications throughout the institution.
Yep. And one thing I did about a year ago, I helped on the CHI early group when CHI, the Coalition for Health AI, came together. I joined one of their work groups just to make sure, we do the education, because again, it goes back to this is just all new. So we want to put all of us who have some experience together to begin to share some of those best practices out with people. So I think we got to continue to educate and I totally agree with you, getting on the same page there. And also, starting off somewhat small in some ways too, to understand what problem you're truly trying to solve, and so that critically important for health systems as a starting point. But that's another conversation for another day, because there's a whole lot there. But what trends are you seeing in healthcare or digital health also that you want to bring up?
Biggest trend I touched on it yesterday is budget, and it's not a fun topic,
right?
And it's not like a great one, but
I appreciate what you said. So actually, do talk about that, because that's significant.
So I feel that most health systems, most people, right, in the world are just suffering from rising costs, and everybody's managing a tight budget. Obviously we all know you can't just pull the lever of passing through costs to the consumer,
Absolutely.
right? The insurance companies don't work that way.
Right.
So when your cost goes up, whether it's wage inflation, if it's cost of, hard assets, cost of capital, cost of disposables, when those things go up, how do you adjust? And right now, all of those things have been going up, especially in the post-COVID era. How does the health institution adjust? And then the second thing is, there's so much at our disposal. There's so much that is being offered to us. When you're managing the budget, how do you sift through the entire universe of offerings and say, no, this is the one that I need? Because for any given problem, 100 solutions,
right?
And then never mind the ones that you go out and solicit. There's 500 people coming at you, every day saying, let's offer this, let's offer that. How do you sift through the noise while managing a tight budget?
Right.
That, I think, is the hardest trend that we're all facing. And everybody I talk to, especially our Cancer X partners, everybody's feeling that same thing.
So how do you navigate that as a healthcare organization or a leader? How do you navigate that?
I smile because I think that some people, and I actually don't think this is bad, some people might say, just put your head in the sand. Put your head in the sand for 6 months or a year and just say no. And to be honest, it's actually not a bad way to do it. We've had some really constructive conversation at our institutional level. And the truth of the matter is, we've just kind of put a pause on a lot of things. We put a pause just to catch our breath, right? Even putting like a 3 or a 6 month pause.
Right.
And saying, listen, we're not going to hire. We're not going to deploy new apps. What about this is really going to be patient necessary?
Right.
Regulatory and safety, sure,
that's
but
different,
very few of those things happen over a 3 or 6 month process.
Right.
So I think that's one way to navigate it. The second way to navigate it, I think that goes along with the first point, is you've really got to be mission critical. And what I mean by that is whatever your strategy is and whatever your mission statement is, you've got to make sure that whatever are your solutions align with those strategies, because there are 10 great solutions for every problem out there. For example, if we talk about some of the ambient listening and some of the AI, that we were talking about yesterday, the Sukis, the Abridges, all fantastic people, fantastic teams, great software. But very specifically, as opposed to maybe our partners across, major organizations like Advocate Health, for us, we're really focused on oncology, and not just on oncology, within that super duper specialization. Not better, not worse,
right?
Just different.
Yep.
And that's specific to our mission statement. So, you've got to really fine tune your lens when you're looking at some of these solutions. And I think putting those together, you could just say no to manage the budget.
Yep.
And then if you are going to allow any capital or any dollars to be at work, making sure that ROI is actually third on the list.
Yep. Great advice, brother. So thinking beyond today, because I also want to spend a couple seconds talking about curing cancer, because we absolutely can. Thinking beyond today.
Wait. For those that didn't know about this, him and I, yesterday at a reception started this debate. And I kind of stopped him in his tracks. He was like, "No, we're going to cure cancer." And I was like, "No chance." And he was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "How can you say that?" And I was like, "Let's save it for tomorrow."
Yeah, we'll get to that, because Kamal was before you here, so we've already talked a little bit.
Sure.
But we have a good foundation to work from, and then I am gonna devote some resources. My radio show and some other investment stuff. I'm going to create a total track over the next couple of months, if not 6 months, on just this one topic.
All right.
Because also I'm close to the Cancer X people, and so I didn't realize all that. It kind of all came together last night.
Right, which is
so this is
awesome.
going to be fun.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, but before we dive into that, and we will cure cancer, we will. But think about beyond today. What do you see as a key strategy or trend that we must be ready to successfully navigate in 2 to 3 years from now, that we're not talking about, we haven't seen here at Health?
Yeah. I think we need to use our digital tools, and I struggle to just say AI. I think it's every tool in the digital toolbox to supercharge clinical trial research.
Okay.
And I don't mean clinical trial matching. What I mean is, how do you figure out doses and regimens that will materially impact and save patients' lives? And I don't even mean with existing therapies. I mean, how do you write models where you can test new proteins that maybe haven't even been generated yet and save the entire process time from going from, the lab to a molecule to, safety studies? How do you actually write accurate enough models that can go through and say, you know what, this combination, it's like trying on clothes, right?
Right.
You can put them out on your bed and you can say, oh, that looks good or that doesn't look good. Or better yet, with computer software, you can create a mannequin and just put a shirt on and put pants on, and you can say, no, that doesn't look good. No, that looks great, right? How do we do that? I think for therapeutics, and I think there are people doing some of that work.
Yep.
But to me, that's the trend that we're not talking about right now, at least not here.
It's excellent, great point, and certainly with the amount of data that we're going to be collecting with AI, you layer over that. Oh my gosh,
correct,
absolutely right. So now in our closing minute. Just to whet the appetite of everybody. Let's talk cancer. Better yet, let's talk curable cancers.
Got it.
And our debate last night was, I said, there's enough data, because I've been doing interoperability data for a long time, actually built the whole research vertical at my last company. But we always said, in America, there's enough data siloed to cure cancer. I think it's just been, we always just joked about that. And I said boldly last night, there's enough data just in Florida, because we all live in Florida, to cure cancer. And you said, absolutely not. And I said, there absolutely is. And then we kind of qualified it a little bit deeper and said, maybe not cure all cancers, because we don't know enough about some of that. However, what was really cool and what's got me really excited is maybe up to 70% of cancers we could at least treat as a chronic condition, and maybe give quote unquote cures for maybe up to 70%, which is, I've never heard those. That's exciting. We need to be talking about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So the floor is yours, my friend.
Yes. So, and we'll do it in the closing minutes. I'll be cognizant of time. So, number one, the reason I was saying we definitely don't have the data is because so few people get cancers and are treated in a uniform way that you just data-wise, it's very hard to use that data to inform future therapy.
Very fair.
Okay.
Yep.
The second, and it's always so disparate across cities, across states, across providers, and it's not just the provider's fault. Patients are going through the journey, right? So what they received last week, their whole protoplasm now changes week to week. Second thing, curable cancers like prostate cancer and breast cancer, as long as we can actually get them early, I think we can definitely cure. And the earlier we catch them, the more chronic of a disease they can likely become.
Yep.
What's exciting to me is how, for example, at Moffitt, we have a whole adaptive therapy group. We are starting not to just give the same dose. We're starting to adapt all of our doses based on what we think the cancer is doing on imaging and on blood testing. That, I think, is a game changer and will allow patients, because they always say, time on chemo is more important than, or time on systemic therapy is more important than the actual strength of the systemic therapy. And for as long as patients can tolerate the treatment, they'll do better. And the last thing I'll say is, I actually think it's not just the quote unquote curable cancers. I think it's like, pancreatic cancer and GBM, two of the worst ones, especially metastatic or stage 3 or 4. I think making disruptive changes, because we really have nothing great right now, that's where we'll start to see, okay, instead of an overall survival, 5-year survival of like less than 10%, we can start moving that needle to greater than 50% when we start unlocking the right scientific theories.
Okay. Nainesh, you get the last word on that, and we're going to follow up on this soon.
Let's do it.
Thank you, brother.
For having
Appreciate
me.
you. Thank you, always. Welcome back to This Justin Radio Show, broadcasting live from Health 2025 in sunny Las Vegas. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest and great friend of the show, Rich Scarfo, President of Health. Welcome back to the show, my good friend.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
It's obviously been a great couple of days so far. 3 days, 4 days for you already now? You're going deep.
Been here for about 5 days now. No, it's been fantastic. Coming into it, a little bit of uncertainty in the marketplace, in the country. But I think that the energy here has really proven that, health is still the place that people want to come together, to connect, to network, talk about the biggest problems in the industry, and really how are we going to solve them.
Yeah, you got it. No, you got this market cornered. Energy's fantastic.
Yeah,
the movers and shakers are all here. Whatever you want to accomplish, I say that these certainly about health and Vive. Whatever you want to accomplish, you can absolutely do it here, because everybody's here. You got the health systems, you got the providers, you've got the investors, you've got the patients in a lot of ways, but you got the thought leaders, you got everything.
Yeah.
So
and actually, we're seeing the most diverse audience we've had. We are up in every single metric except for one, which would be government.
Yeah.
But we have more clinicians, more nurse leaders. We have more patient advocates this year. We have more pharma, more VCs, just across the board. And it really feels like what we've been working on building the past couple of years took shape this year.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. No, and the energy's been fantastic. Like I said, I've been walking around now a couple of days talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Everybody's extremely pleased.
It's good to hear.
Well done. Thank you, my friend. So what's new, I guess, for the show for this year? What's new?
Well, there's a lot. As we've talked about before, we really like to come back every year with a refreshed show that really represents where the industry is and what people need. We added a diagnostic zone to the floor this year. We added an employer solution zone. We added a pharma area. We have more pharma here on the floor and attending than we've had in the past. We have a partnership with physician side gigs that has really expanded. So we have about 120 clinicians and physicians here. So that's been great. We have a partnership with NAC, National Association of Community Health Centers.
Great group.
One of the things that I love that we did with them this year is our art gallery, which is not new, but what's in it is. We have artwork from all 50 states representing, or actually directly from the community health centers. So that's been good. And I think, with a lot of the programs that are in jeopardy right now, the importance of community health centers is critical. So we wanted to spotlight that.
Yeah, no, and I actually walked by that art gallery, and it's special. What you guys have done, I mean, this is the most unique show I've ever been to in my life, and I do a lot of conferences, but what you guys have been able to harness here, I even mentioned, I brag on the food, the high quality food, the people. I'm a big food guy, so you always have fantastic food. It's well run, the people are fantastic, but the people also work for health are fantastic, but then also the people here, so you really do have a magical tent here to that fosters a lot for the industry.
I've heard two words this week quite a bit, purpose and passion. And a lot of the new companies that are here, especially the larger ones, said, the minute I walked in, I felt that the event had purpose. It was intentional. And
very true.
Our team is really passionate about what we build for the industry. We take this very seriously. So I think when you put those two things together, it's a winning combination.
Absolutely. Great formula. What are you most excited about? I know it's a hard question, but what even think about maybe the industry, not just Vive. First of all, about health. What are you most excited about here? And then maybe in the industry in general. So,
well, it's a little bit of the same, I guess. I think a couple of things at the event. AI, of course, but it's actually the purposeful advances in AI that we're seeing. I mean, that's the stuff that we're really seeing. It's not just about the tech and what it's doing. It's about how it's affecting people, from patients to clinicians to nurses. I'm very excited about the consistent discussions throughout the programming on access to healthcare, price transparency. I mean, these are things we've been talking about for a while. And a lot of companies are really focused on making some changes. So hopefully we're going to see that.
Yep.
We have a lot of amazing companies and top sessions on women's health. We announced on the stage on Sunday a partnership with BBC Storyworks. So we're doing a global docuseries with them on women's health and the gaps in women's health. And, it's something that we've seen at the event in different ways. So I'm glad to see a focus on that. And, I mentioned the diagnostic zone, and that's something that it's not just, labs. That's not really what we're about.
Right.
It's about what healthcare or where healthcare is going with personalized approaches, with home care, with home testing, and really making things much easier for people to access. So, and that we've heard a lot of great stories out of that area with companies saying, I go to different events and they're all good, but I don't meet the people at those events that I meet here. And bringing all the sectors that we convene, I think has been really important. So, and I think also in looking at our demographics this year, I mentioned, we're up on attendance, so that's always good.
Is there 8,000, 10,000? I don't know how many people here. 12,000 people.
12,000. Well, just over 12 now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But it's who is part of that 12.
Who's here?
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
And it's just been the most diverse group to date. So I just, I'm just really excited about what we've been able to deliver at a really difficult time.
So, because I didn't even catch all the cool sessions, you guys just kept on announcing really cool people. Who are some of the big headliners that have been here over the last couple of days?
Yeah,
in closing tomorrow.
So we had, we started off with Rob Lowe.
Yep. Right.
Really good discussion around the impact of cancer on families and clinical trials. We had Mark Cuban on day one, and he loves the event, and we like having him here because he's pretty no nonsense.
Yeah. I use his medication company there.
Yeah, no, it's great, and they really have made that's one of the stories out of this event. The idea was born here.
Yep.
And we love that, and it's somebody that saw a problem and really went in and tried to fix it, and we hope to see a lot more of that.
Amen.
We've had the CEO of Kaiser, we've had the CEO of Centene, we have representatives from Hims and Hers and Roe and the telehealth companies. We've got more pharma speakers this year. So I think it's a great program. I mean, we delivered about 600 speakers this year.
Yeah.
And we had a great government lineup.
Yeah.
But
maybe
last week they all had to stay home.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's extremely unfortunate. But so let's talk a little bit about now the future of where your health events coming up, because you have Amsterdam. So talk about, and also obviously there's been a transaction. So just tell us about about the future in the next couple of years or so.
There has been a transaction. We are under the umbrella of Hive Group now, which has been actually amazing. It's a company that we know very well. They're the 8th largest events organizer in the world, and soon to be 7.
Yep.
It's been a comfortable transition. I think acquisitions are always very challenging, the unknown. This has been amazing. So they're very focused on maintaining the brand, the team, how they can support us, and they know how important health is to the industry. So I feel great about it.
I don't like change. I'm not a person that's real good to a change. So
I'm with you.
You're gonna be my guest next year.
I'll be your guest next year.
Right,
no,
good.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, good. I like that. Okay.
And so what else?
No, very cool.
Yeah.
But so talk about Amsterdam. So
next year,
we have Vive coming up.
26 is going to be a great year.
Yeah.
We have so much planned. So we have Vive in February.
Yep.
That's in Los Angeles. We're going back, and we have a lot of new companies coming in. Big focus on cyber again this year. Interoperability, AI is growing, of course. We then move on to Amsterdam for Health Europe. We'll be in our 3rd year.
I can't in Amsterdam. It is going to be in Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And it's growing very nicely.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to launch an event. It's really hard to launch an event in Europe.
I know. Yeah.
But we have an amazing team there that's done a great job.
Yep.
And then we move on to Health next year, which will be here in November. 15th
it will be back
18th.
in Vegas.
Yeah, we're here again.
Okay.
A little bit later, which is good for a lot of people, 15th or 18th.
Okay.
But we've also launched something that will have us convening throughout the year. That's our Entree Dinner Series. And that is something we'll be doing about 200 of them in 26 all over the country. They're small curated dinners for 20 to 25 people, one topic, and we curate an executive audience for the sponsor. And we have had an amazing response to that this year.
I bet.
So I think what we've learned at Health is that, even though it's a large event and can be overwhelming to some people, there's intimate moments here. And it's really about bringing people together. And, we really want to harness that and see how we can continue to do that. And we know that in 26, there are going to be a lot of things that we have to talk about and address, and we think what a better way to do it than to bring the leaders together that can actually affect change and have great conversations and good food.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that one because I have a couple very, my large customers would love that. So
perfect.
I'm going to follow up on that one for sure. So in a cozy minute or so, talk about Vive. What do we look forward to in Vive? Obviously, that program is coming together very well.
Yeah.
LA.
Program is
February.
great.
Well,
I think
February, right? It's February?
February.
Yeah.
I think 15th or 18th.
Yeah.
We're going to have, I think, a very strong policy focus there, given the government speakers we lost from Health this year.
Right, good point.
Hopefully we'll be past all of that.
Yes.
And again, probably very timely.
Yep.
I mentioned the topics that we're focusing on. We're seeing an increase in our buyers at that event. At Health here this year, we had about a 38% increase in our buyers.
The hosted buyers?
Hosted buyers, and it's a very important program for providers and payers and employers here at Health, but even more so at Vive. And we're seeing a migration to Vive from a lot of the flagship companies that we've been working with that have been attending and now are stepping into it. So I think that it's a very different focus than Health. We always like to say Health is the ecosystem event that focuses on innovation, and Vive is the business event that really focuses on what's happening with payers and providers right now. And the marketplace aspect is important at both, but for Vive, it's become something that has been essential to the success of its growth.
Yeah, and also the integration of Chime at Vive is great. I love
Chime's
those folks,
great because what they do is they bring in hundreds of CIOs, and what we've been able to do in partnership with Chime is work with the CIOs to get into their systems and bring the leaders that need to be at Vive. And we call it the Ambassador Program, and it's worked really well, and it's given a lot of ability to get to hard to reach executives. And so as it's growing, we're watching the demographics as well.
Yep.
That event, we're happy to say, is still a third C-suite. So
cool.
It's where we like to hang out.
Congratulations, my friend. Rich Scarfo, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Happy to be
Perfect.
here.
Great.
All right.